invitation. We are so happy that you are our panelist for the day. Thank you so much.
Malcolm ma'am is in a meeting. She may join in a little while.
Okay, let's then start. So on behalf of the principal, Professor Rama Hansraj College, and on behalf of the Institution Innovation Council and our IQAC Director, Ms. Alka Kekar ma'am, I welcome you all to today's panel discussion. As you all know that we have an Institution Innovation Council, and it is now mandatory for every academic institute to have the Innovation Council, so that students who join the college are not, in a kind of a silo. They're just not attending their classes, but they are thinking about various other, avenues which are open to them. And while they are in college, they do certain innovations, some brainstorming, and come up with certain ideas which can turn up to be an venture in future. So before I start, I would request the convener of Institution Innovation Council, Dr. Ambika Singh, to say a few words about how Institution Innovation Council operates. So, Dr. Ambika, may I request you to say a few words?
Thank you, ma'am. It's my pleasure to introduce Institution Innovation Council, which is established by Ministry of Human Resource and Development, Government of India, to inculcate a tradition of research through innovation amongst all higher education institutions. Hansraj College has been a proud recipient of establishing an innovative council in the college under IIC scheme of MHRD. The primary focus of the innovation cell is to provide support to the young minds for the new ideas and innovations in research. So, without taking much time, I would like to call Dr. to introduce our and you are not audible. Please unmute yourself.
Dear students and the faculty members, today we have with us two people, two eminent speakers for this event. One is Hemant Bish. Mr. Hemant Bish, I know he is a very bright, young, a person who wants to take risks and venture into different streams, and really, lives by the idea that we should not be job seekers. We should also turn out to be job providers. And he is nurturing young, bright students from across the best of the institutions of the country, like IITs, and he's I think I will say that he's mentoring them to enter into a domain which is not a path which is not taken by everyone. So this is the kind of risk-taking abilities, and also going out of your major domain. I know Hemant personally as well. He's a master's in economics. He has entered into commerce and economics. He has already, taught in an institution where MBA graduates have always been talking about him on LinkedIn and Facebooks, that he's a wonderful mentor, and he's really, kind of nurtured leaders in various, business offices. Being a faculty member, he was one of the most loved teachers by students. And his academic pursuits have been wonderful. He has also been a consultant for some of the political young ministers who learn some strategies from him. So he's strategizing various aspects about their policies and all those things. Besides that, he has started edutech startups. He has also supported many other investors in nurturing their ideas and in also turning their ideas into a venture. So I would say that he's a mentor, basically, a mentor, a coach, and a very supportive person. If anybody goes with him with an idea, he has the ability to turn that idea into a venture. So I think, I would ask the panelists then to, say about them. Besides that, we have Ishita Garg. Miss Ishita is a young, master's passed out recently, 2 years back in anthropology from Amity University. And again, she is so versatile in her various, as a student only, she started working for various educational and, those companies who nurture young students into turning them into scientists, budding scientists. She has kind of supported them through her skills. She has also, started her own startup. She's co-founder of Extemplar. And besides that, she is doing a lot of mentoring students, teaching them how to negotiate the hard tasks which are given them in various ways. I would not introduce formally because I want them to say what they have been doing and how their journeys, what are the kind of journeys they have had. How did they move from, for example, Hemant from a commerce into a EV startup and educational startup, and how Ishita from a stream like anthropology, which we generally feel that sciences do not have many, science people are kind of, streamlined to do a certain kind of thing. They don't think otherwise. They just have a line which they choose for them and they follow that line. They don't venture into other domains. So we have two stories here. So both the stories are different, but both the stories have similar line of thought. So let's hear out from them. I would first invite Hemant, Mr. Hemant Bisht. Can you? I welcome you all to this platform, and basically, I really want to thank you for accepting our invitation. I know that you both have a busy schedule. You have to go into meetings in between. You have to answer certain calls in between. But I'll not take much of your time. But I'll start with Hemant. Hemant, please, can you tell us something about how you entered into a startup and how your journey has been?
Thank you so much, Monica ma'am, for inviting me at this panel discussion, and thank you for the council for being so noble for inviting for this cause. And it's always a pleasure to talk to or to mentor to or to listen to the ideas of young brains. So thank you for this opportunity. I won't take much time, right, because panel discussion is something which is very important. But yes, as you rightly mentioned, you've already elaborated, quite large about me, and you have, discussed everything. But yes, add on to that, I spent a decade with the corporates. I was with, with banking firm and financial institutions, and from there, I moved to, EdTech. So I started, working with a firm called IFM. So I worked there for 5 years, and at that time, we were instrumental in, establishing a training department of India's first currency exchange, that is called United Stock Exchange. At that time, we have, had like a target of, recruiting students from IIMs for establishing that stock exchange. Rather than at time, so while I was there in Mumbai for 3 months, right? So you won't believe that each brain, each of that, a guy from IIM, they have brilliant ideas with them, right? So I mean, so it's about choice, right? So why I listen to their ideas and everything. So they had their obligations to paying off the loans and getting the hefty paychecks and everything, right? They were chasing that. But trust me, each one of them are having their business idea, and they were fantastic ideas. So, and few of them in later years, I found that they have started something. So it's all about choosing that line and then not looking back. That is something which is very critical, and timing is something which is the most important thing. If we see last 2 decades, there were a stint of SaaS products, then AI, then now it's electrical vehicles. So if we see the chronology of these startups in last few decades, you would see timing is something which is very critical. And I wanted to make sure that I promised with me that I won't lose on, at least for the timing, right? So we really don't know. It's absolutely an uncharted territory. You really don't know what how the day would unfold for you, right? And we really don't know what would really happen tonight, right? There are so many, it's a there are permutation and combination, and it's a it's a pyramid of different things, right? So you have to opt for those things. So while I was, as I said, that those 3 months in the Mumbai, when I came across different business ideas, I witnessed dying ideas there, right? So I ensure that I won't let it happen with me. Let's start doing something. Then I started consulting startups with few venture builders. So there was like incubators where you used to take on board few good students from IIT, IIMs, nurture their ideas, make their product viable, go to fit in the market, and then chase for the fundings. So that stint, after that, one of my student from that only, that he was from IIM Nirma, he said, let's start with why can't we start with electrical vehicles? As I said, that timing is something is very crucial. And post, we know that sustainability is an issue with it's a global issue. And if you talk about the government policies, if we see the United Nations sustainable goal, this thing, something renewable energy and using this something is very critical. So when all government policies and the corporate are chasing that, we thought that we should monetize it, leverage it. So we started this. This is the third year that we have built Urja. In addition to that, I have managed to open two edtech startup as well. This is a humble investment that I made, and that's how the journey was, and it is a fantastic journey. Thanks so much.
Hemant. Ishita, taking forward what Hemant has said, that, you need to take a road which is less, ventured into. You have an educational startup, right? And you also do a lot of things with the K-12 students, right? So what inspired you to start your educational startup, and why K-12 students?
It's an honor to be here. Let me start with that. I actually started because I felt the need myself. So I was studying in India, and then I had the opportunity to travel outside, and I changed my school, I changed my board. I had a very different exposure to education, where suddenly I wasn't studying science, I was actually performing experiments, I was actually employing critical thinking in my education, which was something that I didn't experience before I actually changed my environment. And I realized that I am very lucky and fortunate to have a very different perspective to education because of my exposure. And not everyone has the same opportunity. And I had a friend in India, and we were talking one day, we were just discussing, and this was when I was in grade 11th. So we were talking about how my perspective about maths and science has changed so drastically since I moved out. And suddenly we both got talking, and we said, why don't we do something? Because she left math and science, whereas I told her that this different perspective has made me fall in love with it all over again. And we started our journey, and it wasn't easy, because to be 12th graders, she was in first year college, I was in 12th when we actually signed our documents to establish our foundation. And it was a big decision to convince everyone that 2 students can do this. But I think that's what kept us going. We had a lot of people who put their faith in us. We had a lot of advisors who helped us, who motivated us, and we just didn't let that idea go. That if we have an idea, we want to implement it, we want to explore it and see where it takes us. And that's how we started and moved forward. And today we're glad that we were able to expand ourselves to a pan-India approach. We even have a few international programs now. We've tied up with different universities. We've tied up with different laboratories all around India. We have some of the most esteemed scientists who help mentor our students, who support their development. And I think it's a good feeling when you see young minds who have these amazing ideas that they don't know how to take forward, and you give them that platform. It sort of makes you feel proud, not only because it's the platform that you created, but more so because you are seeing people and students from your country go much more forward and beyond than what they probably even thought possible. And K-12 was, I think, only because we we sort of had this thing that we are successful because we know what we're talking about. We always kept our development very parallel to what we were doing. So when we were in college, we started expanding to programs within colleges. When we graduated from college, we expanded beyond colleges to now we have a few targeted financial resourcefulness and entrepreneurship programs for rural women. So we expand as we go forward, and we learn from our personal experiences, take those lessons, and we turn them into ideas where we think that we can have an impact. Because a lot of our work is focused primarily on how we can make the world a little better. Because I think in our generation, we've grown up hearing about so many problems around us. We've always seen things going wrong, or the challenges that we're looking to in the future, the way Hemant spoke about the sustainability being a big concern for a lot of policies. We've spoken about the new education policy developing in the ways it has. So it's always been something that we evolve from our personal experiences, and we sort of implement them into our ideas.
Yeah, thanks, Ishita. It's such a wonderful thing. We have students who are in second year, first year, third year graduation. So you have students. You must listen to this conversation. We have a person here, Ishita, who started the idea right after school. In her school, actually, this was being seeded. The idea was seeded already. And then the exposure helped her. The kind of exposure she got, she went abroad. She was in Malaysia for some time, and she came back with those ideas. And what I take from here is that your ideas don't have to go into a waste bin. If some idea comes in, it has to be seeded there. Maybe that time the environment is not feasible. I am a botanist by profession, so maybe you don't have all those parameters in place that time. Maybe sometime the light is adequate enough, the nutrients are there, which Hemant will tell us what are the nutrients later for a startup like. So I just want everyone in whosoever has joined, all the students, to keep this in mind, that ideas are not to be wasted. So both our panelists, Hemant and Ishita, tells us here that there are ideas that were seeded in them. They also were interacting with their environment. They were seeing that there is talent around them. So Hemant looked at the talent while he was in Bombay, interacting with young IITians and IIM graduates. And Ishita looked at it when she got to see some school pass outs who were looking for some kind of a guidance, where they wanted somebody to support them. So that they can go places. I must tell you that some students who Ishita has mentored have gone to international science fairs and represented India, right? So she does a lot of hand holding for them. So from both of you, Hemant and Ishita, we have one takeaway point from the first experiences you shared, that don't let your ideas waste, and be ready to venture into paths that are not everybody doesn't take those paths, but you should. That is something which is very important. So my next question is for Hemant. Yeah, Hemant. So can you tell us what is the most innovative use of technology in education you have seen recently?
So I think this question should have gone to Ishita, right? Right, but that's okay. I mean, so
the questions are random.
Yeah. But I can't be authority, when Ishita is here to say anything about on technology. But yes, being a proud father of two teenage boys who are getting exposed to, the latest learning technology day and night, and being invested in, these two edtech firms, I do have some premise, right, to say something about this technology. So, there are, different technologies that are being used. AR is one of them, augmented reality, virtual reality is there, cloud computing is there, and now blockchain is also being used, and AI, all we know. But we can't really see them in silos. These technologies, they need to be integrated and then served to the student in such a manner that they can make best use of that. But as personally, if you ask me, I think augmented reality is the game changer. That's actually a game changer. Right? And there are reasons for that, that why I vote for VR. And this is the recent technology that I think it evolves with the time. But the type of because what society expect from technology is that it should make things accessible. That is something which is very critical. And for that matter, this augmented reality and virtual reality, these technologies, I think they are the best. And I could see them because I have seen few pitch decks from these little scientists and all those things. They have been working very hard, and the time is coming where we could see a revolution, and it's already happening. And I would share across few reasons why I'm saying that, because there are 4 or 5 points that I'll be sharing. First is, of course, the engagement, the type of engagement that this VR and AR brings up. So it actually dramatically increases students' attention and engagement, right? It provides immersive and interactive, experience with the students, right? So it captivates students' interest, right? It's making learning process more enjoyable, right? And let's imagine a student, right? So they are visiting ancient civilization, and they could actually see, right? And if we put AI into this experience, they would be responsive as well. They could really ask the questions in that manner, right? So it's about, you can travel through spaces actually, right? And you can actually bring tornado into your class and make feel students what actually is happening, right? So this is one thing I think that, and the second part is, after engagement, that active participation through this in education, that VR ensures. How it is, because when we talk about using textbook or libraries, I'm not demeaning the value of the libraries, but it is something which is very passive way of learning, right? I do have a textbook, and I need to learn, like, the history lessons and some complex problems like Pythagoras theorem or something like that. But imagine if you can dissect a frog through augmented reality, right? Some students feel pretty disgusting when they do it in live, right? So there is this app called Frogopia that enables students to dissect that. So actually, a student can travel through the human body. He can actually see. So the participation in learning is something which is very critical, and VR and this augmented reality, they're ensuring it, right? The third point, which is I think which is very critical, is memory retention. That is also something very important, because at that time in our stage, our teacher used to say, let's just visualize this thing, right? Gone are the days, right? We remember that they used to use, when we were not having the luxury of projectors, they used to have colored these chalks or colored markers to differentiate different thing into plant, or for that matter human body and everything. But and why they making so much effort, because they wanted us to memorize that, right? But with this AR and the invention of virtual reality, actually, because it is a multi-sensory, when you are learning there, you are using your multi-sense, so your memory retention is very high, right? So because it actually facilitates and stimulates your brain, right? So for example, history is such a, I'm sorry if some history teachers there, history actually is a boring subject, but if I say that, I could actually be there at Berlin, right? I just had a this wearable gadget, and I am there at 1942, where these British bombers, they are flying over Berlin. So I could actually, if I could be there, I can write about 3 more pages regarding that incident. So history being so interesting with the help of that. So it's sometimes it's about interest and experience, right? So this is the third I think point which is very important. Next is a unique learning experiences. So the advocates, because we know there are pros and cons for every technology, right? People say, right, and there are different now those who say that it would make people into their silos, and the interaction would be less, and people would, or the students would tend to less interact, right? But think about that if in the perspective of collaboration, right? Let's say I really want to make some these tier 2 students to visit right Amazon forest, or for that matter let's say Mount Everest. right? Or some expedition. We know they can't really afford it, but Google Expedition is one of those things. You have that, and you can really venture out in all those things. And as I said, that if I need to make our children learn how Latin American people are different from the Africans, from the textbook it's different, but actually with the augmented reality I could really, virtually real in the virtual environment, I can interact with them. I can actually learn how they interact, their cuisine, their custom, and everything. And and the most important fact, as I said, that in education, if the technology in education, it should make things affordable, right? So in otherwise it is not possible, but we can say that if we we can leave the capital that has been invested, but as far as the recurring expenses are concerned, deploy such thing, it can really make affordable, and students from one place to another place, they can actually collaborate, they can share their best of the practices. So we should not have that apprehension that using much of AR and VR will make student less interactive. I'm in advocacy that will actually make our world a better place. And finally, as far as specialized fields are concerned, like if you talk about engineering and medical, for that matter, architecture and everything. So doing some experimentation in virtual world, because that is safe and controlled environment. So before venturing into the real world, you can bring down the cost down, and you can make people learn, make students learn with a lesser cost, right? And a safe environment. So I think augmented reality is something that I watch for, and this is the latest technology. I would suggest all the students are to go through, just see what are the inventions which are happening. And the important thing is that there is no boundaries as such. If you have any idea, just share it across. You might have onboard few people, as Ishita rightly said, that she was discussing her idea with her the classmate. But what if she has shared it with someone in Europe or some Asia, because she might have incorporate their socio-economic structure as well. So that's it. I think augmented
Wow,
reality,
absolutely.
like that.
So students, augmented reality, virtual reality are the upcoming things in edutech. So any of you who might be interested tomorrow, maybe after you pass out from your college, or also as Ishita started a venture right from school, you can learn these things. There are now courses which you can do and add those aspects into education, because future is going to be a lot of technology in education, right? So we have two startup co-founders who have actually took upon them to make education more equitable, as Hemant just pointed out, that you can mind that gap which is there, because things are not accessible. A person cannot go to Mount Everest, but he can still have the expedition, how it looks like. And this is also true for our botany courses. At times we are not able to take them to the field, or we are not able to take them to the habitats where a particular plant is actually seen. So augmented and virtual reality can bring those things into the classroom. So I know some takeaway points for us as well. Thank you, Hemant, for sharing your thoughts on this. So Ishita, this question I wanted to ask you is, let's see, at a young, I'm in a school-going student who thinks about things, being in sciences, thinking about many other things, because at that age you discover many things. You want to learn more about the surroundings. I would say that yours is an experience which is really important for the students, because you had these thoughts in school itself, and we have school pass outs who enter into the college in their first year. They come with lots of dreams, they come with lots of things in their heads, and sometimes probably, I must say and acknowledge, that we are not able to give them that kind of an environment. So if any of these students who are present here, they want to start up an edutech or any other kind of a startup which you have in your mind, what advice do you have for them?
That's a tough question. I think there's a lot to be honest. I don't have my college was just need to do in startup, because I think they were supportive. It's also creating that space for yourself that you have to push that barrier where a lot of people assume that you're a student. I've had a few instances where my teachers were actually against me, maybe taking a leave to do something because it was important for me having to leave a class earlier. Some teachers were very supportive, and there were some teachers who were very critical. You don't really need to do this. And at that time, that also comes down to your perseverance, where you have to balance the fact that yes, I am a student, but I also have an idea and I know that it didn't pick up and I know that it didn't do good. So I need to push through. The first thing would definitely be that you have to find a balance between your education, because that's something I always stand really strongly against. I completely, having done it myself, do understand it's not easy to balance things together. But I think that it's important to also balance entrepreneurship with self-development, because a lot of people, they take entrepreneurship as a 100%, and they don't see the drawback, maybe dropping out of college or not completing your education, which is very, very integral. I wouldn't have done half the things I was able to do if I didn't complete my education. So finding that balance, striking that balance is a different path for everyone. It's an important first step. Because if you don't develop yourself, your ideas also get stagnated at some point. It's always good. Keep learning, keep educating yourself, keep acquiring new skills. You can give more to your work, more to your idea. So that will be the first thing. The second one would also be to find good, maybe advisors. So like I had my friends, and also I'm lucky. One economic, there are a lot of scientists who are very supportive to me, who agreed to give a first-year student a chance where I was standing. Even the government, because some of our programs are in collaboration with Department of Science and Technology. I think it takes even understanding from mentors where they see a college student and you have to explain your idea to them well enough that they can put their faith in you, because it's not easy for them either. So striking that partnership between whoever your investor or your advisors is, and with your ideas, you need a lot of coherence, you need a lot of determination to be able to put your point across strongly and push against the adversity you come across any. Other than that, I think we live in a one-time competition. So one thing I think everyone should do is, when you have an idea, maybe take like 10 days, just sit on it, make a mind map, make a basic chart, what can this turn into, how can I take this forward? Because with the advent of technology, it's very easy for us to apply for grants, look for opportunities that will sustain this, that will help you build your idea forward. There are a lot of advisors who can actually support you in building your idea forward. So it's always good to also just sit on that idea for a bit and make a rough plan. This is what I envision. It will keep changing. Your first plan never be your ideal plan. First plan, if I was my first plan, I think we wouldn't have been where we are today. So your plan keeps adapting and changing, but having that initial vision that this is what I want to do, and these are the steps that I see that I need to take, and then taking those steps. That I think is a journey everyone has to think through and plan as a first step towards entrepreneurship. And other than that, I think in today's age, it's also the way we can balance all of things together. So you don't even have to limit yourself to just your perspective. You can sort of brainstorm ideas, and you maybe develop an idea much bigger than you intended originally.
Wow, that's very interesting. I think both of you, Hemant and Anishita, are actually motivating yourselves in this, not to shy away from sharing your ideas, because you both clearly suggested that ideas need to be revisited. It probably cannot be a final plan, but a rough draft is important, and working on that rough draft, that consistency is required is something that is very important. And students should also to strike a balance. There will be teachers who will let you leave your class for something else. There might be some of us who won't want to let you go, because we will think that you're using on something in the subject you're actually don't know for. But then there is you are really passionate, and at the end of the day, all teachers are humans, and if they see that the idea has a potential, we would also not shy away from that. I mean, letting you nurture your ideas, or if possible, we can support what I'm doing, also come in. So thanks for this very important thought which you shared, and especially for our students, because students sometimes, as I said, that to leave for instance, when the student joins botany and starts doing anything else, doesn't even a single class, it's also a loss for him, because he might someday require knowledge required in the classroom to get things going in some other startup or any other generaries entering it. So striking a balance is the takeaway point. Hemant clearly said that you have to nurture on nurturing. There are failures on. So you don't have to get bogged down. So Hemant, you can please come in and I'm not seeing you. Yeah, thanks. So can you tell us the challenges that you face while trying to encourage startup? It is a challenge, right? You are very well placed. You are working in a corporate, and suddenly you decide on a startup. How easy it is and how difficult it is. Challenges. Can you tell us what the challenges?
So when there are two parts of the story, I think what would make more relevant to the student is another part of the story, right? So when you decide, I also see for a student who is joining in, they are in a stage where they have a window of experimentation. When I started this, so there was no window of experimentation because I was already close to the 40 years of my life at that time. Right. So for students, so I would like to share, if you allow me, but actually the challenge is we faced while we started this, right? So I think sharing experiences would be, valuable to the students. If you allow, can I share that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, before I start that, I will, from tell you what actually Urja does, right? So Urja is a logistics provider, right? I use electrical vehicles for connectivity for intra-city logistics because we for that intercity logistics movement in India, vehicles are not available. Right. So we wanted to utilize the opportunity, and when we started this, everything was really perfect. The timeline was good. We could hire, people from best solutions. Investors are really great, right? Existing investors. And even we talk about the government of India, right? They start giving the subsidies for the development of the and that is good, and that was around 40%, right? And that really helps us to keep the margin high, right? So everything is perfect, right? So, but as I said, that we started this. After the 6 or 8 months, when we went the next round of funding, what really happened? Because our business, there are so many stakeholders in the value chain. First is of course lead providers, those who give us the people, right? We are into UPCs, right? So you must have seen, doesn't matter why, who shows up you deliver food, right? They use the electric, right? They use wheelers, but we are not B2C, we are B2B logistics, right? So we do business institutions for this firms, right? So now, as I said that in our ecosystem, and we talk about the fleet managers, there are so many things. Started with those who provide us vehicles through lease. The second is of the charging point doctors because the advancements in the art is no problem. The charging point because infrastructure is not really support that, right? So for passenger vehicle, we see that there are challenges. We think about commercial vehicle, right? So and there's a heavy physical required. I can't operate on collaborate with charging providers and those manufacturers, those who are manufacturing these wheelers and four-wheelers that uses it, right? So when we second round of funding, right? So our investors told us to listen carefully, right? So it was a multi-level for us, right? So they said that you have so many risks. What if government says that we won't make it, we won't continue this subsidy?
it's a great race, right? 20% is a huge march, and in Mumbai it's already they have exhausted for the cities. They oversold these vehicles, and they have already taken a this was possible. This was the first factor. Second was charging point because of course they used to charge premium for charging our vehicles there. So if you have the right decide that electric prices will be increased again of this model won't be physical. And third was talked about interest rate for the and that is also an external factor. So all in all we say that we are very less margin by our EV, right? And our margin dependent on us but the others. So this is that it don't make no from long term. So that's that we and the only thing is that you can only see your revenue so that you can increase your performance and you have actually have any scope because we are all competing with CNG and ICE vehicles, right? So you can't really pass on these increase cost to our customers. So we very well for the first very right we had our customers loved us when came to scaling that right when actually required is now one to scale it for the different disease right we want to start our opening that's because we need quite good capital efficiency so that's that now what change do we do? So as I said that when we see such problem when we scale up when you understand that you break down different parts, smaller parts and take like that and find out what actually we can do. So there are two things that we do. We bundle the our services. We offer route optimization. What actually optimization is like for example for Chroma we usually deliver certain percentage goods in a PV. So we said that you give us amendment in a PV and we do it in 556. So we could have saved more days and just imagine it a large PV. Right, so that's essentially really our margin. Like in EV, the agency that they hired for third-party drivers tell them that these are higher you and regular drivers train them so that we can actually do the work of cash calculation as well, and we can charge them like that, right? So we do some very make some changes, we increase these subscription model, price subscription model, and within 3 months, we could increase our margin from 5%, right? And this is still pretty good. The second round funding as well, right? So we are going for now, the third round funding, and because we have signed non to regular and I can't really share the figure here, but yes, coming month might use the same as well. So the idea is that see, anything that start with work, right? And might not work. What is critical is that you need to be assured that at that time you need to be there. You just can't do that because at that time everyone knows we wanted X next one part of them, we wanted the next one thing, and things are all like 30 years we are still thinking. And for months everyone said no to us. Right? But again I say this every problem that you need to be resilient about that. And you can really say no to and navigate such hard times.
Yeah. Thanks. It was very important, I want to wish you best for your next funding. I know funding is a very important thing, and at times, when you expect funds certainly more, and it's a hard time for a startup person to then negotiate those aspects. But the hard part you're sailing through. So best of luck, and we'll wait to see you as one of the top entrepreneurs there, and I hope it'll happen, and I'm sure it will happen for sure. There are challenges, and you have the path to already have the difficult one. So, but maybe wish you all the best from all of us here. Now that I understand some of the things which Hemant said well, as well, because when you expect funds and they don't come in, how hard it is, and how do you keep yourself calm at that point of time, if I can ask you, that you're expecting funds from DSC and they're not coming in.
That was but it's definitely not easy, especially because we are not non-profit. So we don't even have a profit corpus that we can fall back on or any other means. We are completely dependent on what our grants are and what our funding is, and that does get held up. Honestly, again, that situation, I think, as a, so essentially, I don't have interviews with companies, so Extempted is a non-profit organization, and it functions in Section 8. So while we can have members, we don't really have them on call. So a lot of times, a lot of our implementation, we require to hire third parties. One of our biggest programs is public-private partnership. So we need the private sector funding to come at the same time. And we all know that process takes their own time. Nobody can rush that, nobody can change them. So it itself, at times, the channel of somewhere or the other is that the program comes under question. So that's where I think a big part of any entrepreneurial venture is adaptability and resilience. You need because your plans will change left, right, and center. Like Hemant mentioned, you will come across problems that are just you probably didn't foresee them. Other people saw them and they found a challenge or anything like that come up, and you have to win. So when you don't get funds, it results into a lot of us counting on the goodness of other people and saying, please just do this right now and I'll get back to you later. Sometimes that requires personal investment. There are times we put everything we have back into it because we know and we believe in the power of what we have. But there are times when we face setbacks because of this well. There are days when everything is planned out. We have to cancel the program last minute because implementation can't happen. Or there are times when the program has been advertised, unfortunately, last minute and again to pull out. So there are a lot of situations that you have to have the adaptability and somewhere I think also creativity to a big extent because there are always other ways to reach your means. And that's something I love about them. They all have this big jugaad mentality where you know that we will get it done. We don't know how, we don't know when we will get it done. You're able to get it done. So we have that, and a lot of times that is also comes through because we find unique ways to solve problems, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. So it's a lot of trial and error when you're that actually then sets the process. And as a startup, sometimes that happens. You start off with this idea, thinking this is my idea, and slowly you realize the idea will shape itself very differently on your ground. So you have to adapt your process according to your back loop, what you're getting on ground implementation. This is how I can change my process, and this is how I can make it better. Or this is a constant struggle. This is how I can bypass the struggle. So like now, we actually change our program timeline because we know this happens very often. So it made program timeline now accommodate for such delays, so that we're not as stressed as we usually get. And that's something that as you start doing it sort of formulates into naturally. Perhaps very venture.
Great. You need to be doing it. That's a takeaway message. Can I ask you when funds don't come in, how do you take it? What is your process at that time?
Okay, so see, I think learning is something, right? So there is something which is you are trying to come up, right, to give you a kick, right? So of course there is right to guard. So that really let us rest. तो दिमाग में वही चलता रहता है. So मतलब वो तो है कि करना है, we have to do, right? That's the idea. But yeah, of course, you can utilize that time to look at how other people are working, right? Understanding their strategies, aligning the team, right? I think at that time and then some not right. Aligning the team is something which is very, very critical because if they go left and right, will go for top, right? You have a CTO who is already having an offer from MIT for doing research, and you say, because I'm going there, we are not getting an next round of funding, right? You have such line those who are saying that want engineering next, right? So even if that is one side that you are saying that investment is not coming, but that's the time when you get because when you have the money, right? Then you progressively. There's very less when you get prospect. Right? And that's something which is very important going out, drawing board again and making a different picture as she said that we shall first day you need to sit on and days mind everything. I do it frequently, right? And because you have those prospects and when you have cash in your current account, right? Bank account, you don't take time for that. It is the hard time to sensibility you life science to where we are going wrong. You me old mind and everything, right? So I think your best things are the hard from the hard time. Any company who is having a one learn them their mistake. They have some and down all the bit, right? So I think so for all the students out there, right? So if you ask me what do I stress, so I would say that be with your time, go with the grind, maybe old grind, do some learning, see make some changes, right? And can you make some changes in the existing? Can you add some maybe with the existing thing that I have? And so if it clicks, it automatically go about like stress buster.
Great. So I'm taking a clock as well. So I don't want to keep all things because I have promised that it will be a one-hour program and Ishita has something lined up, Mantan has something lined up, and it's also now. So I'll have a quick what do I say? A rapid fire. Let it be a rapid fire. So it won't be a long answer. Very short and crisp answers for that. Hema, tell us what are things a person who needs to start a startup. What should he have?
So I don't know how much time I have. It could not be it could not have been. So I just know one thing that is the most important thing, and I would agree on that the cause why you are doing that. Right? That's sorted. See, idea is if you work there, the same idea is there in house in the same time. That's not important at all. But model, business model, they changing, right? Take example of you for that. They do not even know how it's gonna be the next business model. Team also, that comes and goes, right? So the most important part is finding that inside why you are doing so. Because as it is something very important, if plan my science right, it's like everybody has a plan until you get it punch face, right? So when you get a punch on face or get alert, right? You are not insensitive, so your plan can work. So these could be anything, right? So all the deals in the shark tank, right? Not even one of them, 1% of them got it, because I mean that regulatory part India is so much, right? I can't really get those funding, right? As I said, your founder is leaving by right? So I think you have that resilience, you have that cause intact. Why you are doing so? I think that the discovery of that cause is something very important, and you will keep altering the methods. You will add new business model that will have more steps coming up. If you you have reality why I am doing so. So the resilience and the cause is something that I think was all best. Everything is secondary.
Okay. Thank you resilience again. So in quality, we talk about the ecosystem resilience, what results in ecosystem stability. So again, so much common between and still say that we are on different fields. Anyways, let's take forward, Ishita. What are the three important things according to you For example, we have students here. I can see Saurav. He's a third-year student. I see some especially in life sciences. Can you tell them if they want to start a startup, if they want to start, what they need?
Plan. You need a plan. That's the first you need, because otherwise you don't know what the next step is, and it's very easy to get lost. Say, I can't do this. So you need a plan. Passion, because even when you have a plan, plans don't work out what you plan. So you need to have that passion that pushes you to push back and say no, even though it doesn't work out, or something out. And people, I think I reiterate, but if you're in a startup, you're in a nano, and you also look for the importance of team. But your advisors, your friends, your family, your team, everyone has to value you, because otherwise the process can be very exhausting and very challenging. So it's always good to have people around you who can support you.
Absolutely. We have 7 hours. So when we're talking about availability and fees, I hope we and Saurav are taking notes. Free fees, huh? So, again, you can.
Yes.
Where does the student go find? Where can students go find? Where is fund?
This is the best time which is available, right? So interest rate in European countries, sometimes last few years it was negative. So they don't have any incentive to put their money in banks. They take for the equity and actually stay in for 5 or 6 years. So they have huge funds. People are available right around. First, I would suggest go for the end investment first, right? Earlier, relative, you start from startup, right? You talk about funding. Next, you don't have that, and there are government portals which are those are available online. And third, which is very nice crowdfunding, right? So crowdfunding, corporate funding like it, right? So you have that idea, because if nobody is listening to you, you make sense to everybody out there, right? So this is how investors, they will do your way, they like it, they will call you back. Right, you should have as you mentioned, if you have these things, right, plan and process, but just you can't mention pension out there, but that is reflecting on your and people, right? So that is the yeah. So that and I'm sure you're gonna get a call from that, and because all these investors, they are searching for you. They really need these startups to make their profit.
So there's no quantity of funds, but people have to look where they are.
Yes.
For that, they do a lot of research and talk to people around, as has pointed out earlier. This would be my last question of the day. And then anything do we have a discussion and these questions that I'm asking you right now has been a student discussion only. What are the skills students need for a startup, Vishaka? What skills? Who can be a good if I ask you, can I start my own venture? Do you qualities you want to see in me, or say any of your students who want to go ahead?
I know it's arduous, it can be tiring, but I think anyone wants to can. Three skills that I think are really important. First would definitely be that development, because this process that personally you have to reflect, you have to take time, you have to change your judgment, you need to be able to take good feedback. Besides that, I know a lot of people call it entrepreneurial drive, but I think the ability to teach yourself is really important, because like him said, if you're for angels, if you're going crowdfunding, you need to get the word out there. So the skills for being able to present your idea are really important. Like people, it might be superficial to say, the way you present yourself matters a lot as a startup. The way you explain to investors, or you explain to stakeholders. If I wasn't able to wait to come with any I think this is for you, they wouldn't have agreed with me the funding. So it's only because me and my partner had that ability to present that idea that we were supported. So that is very important for a startup. And also I think the first skill is also time management, because as a startup you always have a very small core team which will be doing a lot. So you will need to have a way to prioritize and manage your time, manage your resources in the most fruitful way, when you don't even have that much investment to put into initially. Until you get to a certain stage, you have to make the most out of what you have. So that's skill for prioritization and optimizing what you have as a resource, which might be limited, is really crucial.
Great. So I think I had a clear introduction on how to go ahead with the startup, what are the challenges, where do we get money from. Madhvi has mentioned it's a great discussion. Sticking on it. Okay. So Madhvi, you want to say any questions? I think Madhvi is in the group and it's a great discussion. Anyone else wants to ask anything? Or you can say
Dr. Neeraj Marwah.
Dr. Neeraj Marwah, I don't know Dr. Neeraj Marwah personally, but he's been here throughout the discussion, and he's been giving his acknowledgement. He's been trying to things. So Dr. Neeraj, would you like to comment? Any questions from the students or any of our team members? Any questions?
Good evening to one and all. This side Dr. Neeraj Marwah from Science University, Palampur. Actually, it was a nice initiative to first of all Constance College to have such type of interaction with the brand Ishita and Mr. Hemant. So my question is that because before having some data to be implemented, first of all, the area of trust. Besides, the student have area of trust. Which subject he or she must focus on a startup. Then he will go to market research. Whether this type of project or this type of implementation is done here, and what new innovative is there in your product.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Marwah, for sharing your thoughts. Thanks a lot. I think you mentioned. Thank you, Dr. Marwah.
Since from last 5 years, I have remained in technical education institute, including Tata University and Noida. Since I am an alumni of CSI, I am real during my research PhD in electronics and technology. But the things have changed because of Ishita ma'am have already told. Because every year technology changes. As per Moore's law, every year technology changes. So it would be the better students would be critical, analytical, and skill-oriented. That is the important factor. Present himself or herself to any stakeholder.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this. I think we have had a wonderful discussion. Are there any questions from the students? I think all the questions are relevant have been sorted, and they have been really answered very well. So it was a pleasure to have you on board, and also Hemant who shared time with us. I would request formally Pratibha, who is also a team member at Institution Innovation Council, to propose formal thanks from the institution innovation from that platform. Pratibha, thank you. Pratibha is from Madam Chemistry.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of Constance College and I thank Dr. Hemant. This is such an interactive and motivating session for students. Not just for students, for us also. As a science person, we never think like that. Or Ishita, you are usually so motivating for students, for us. I always want to say for us also. Because we, as I said, when you want to do something beyond curriculum, always class, but just to know more and more, then we realize that we have to support student also and think accordingly. So it gives us more emphasis. मतलब अब मुझे लग रहा है कि हमें भी इन चीजों के बारे में सोचना चाहिए. अगर बच्चा क्लास नहीं आ रहा है तो maybe he or she is busy with some other work. So it's good to know. And sir, Hemant sir, आपकी achievement भी बहुत it's really inspire us. And I really thanks for Monica ma'am for such a different type of interactive session, because most of the time when speakers are there, no interaction is there, and it's too much boring for us. But on the whole, from since 3:30 to 4:37, I really hear each and every word of Hemant sir and Ishita. So really thanks on behalf of Hansraj College. I again thanks to Hemant sir and Ishita. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks everyone. May we request each one of you to switch on your cameras for. I wish Ishita and Hemant, you were here. We could have acknowledged your presence by, by just a potted plant, or some traditional methods which we generally do in our college. We really look forward to have you in future in our college. We would arrange a session. It was really an interesting session. And since many students have not been able to join today because college is still not functional, we are having some questions. But many of them joined in, those who are actually interested in startups. So I look forward to both of you, and I hope you will agree and you will not say no to my request in future. So we would want to have you in the college, both of you. Thank you so much for sparing your valuable time. Thanks, Hemant, and thanks, Ishita, for not saying no. Otherwise, this session would not have been possible. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I request everyone to switch on the camera, please, so that we have a photograph. Everyone who's present. I'll be grateful if all of you switch on your camera. Suresh, please switch on your camera. Yeah.
Have you taken the photograph?
Yeah. Please take a screenshot and we'll have it for our records.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Right.
Thank you.